May has been an historic month celebrating nursing. Not only has it been the 200th anniversary of Florence Nightingale's birthday, it's been the International Year of the Nurse and Nurse Midwife, and at the American Academy of Nursing, we've been emphasizing the work that we do to advance science, innovation, and leadership. Many of our fellows have recorded videos of their work with inspirational messages, particularly during the pandemic of the coronavirus. We have seen nurses be labeled heroes, but most importantly, what we have seen are nurses being more visible and more independent and recognized for the work that we have done for centuries, even before Florence Nightingale. We know that humanity is the most important thing that we hold dear to our hearts as nurses, and that we will continue moving forward to learn the lessons of this pandemic and be there for everyone.
The future of healthcare remains in our hands. We must now be the catalyst to make sure communities are engaged and that we are taking a role in assuring communities of their safety, their health, and their well-being. Nurses have to understand that we should be the leaders in changing policy that has a direct effect on what happens in communities across this world. One of the things we as nurses and nurse leaders must understand that the gaps in equity in this United States is unacceptable. And that if nothing else, this pandemic should drive us as nurses who are humanistic and who care about humans on this planet to do something about equity and the reduction and elimination of disparities for all in the United States.
My hope is that nursing continues to grow and thrive, but that it remains true to its roots of caring for all domains of humanity. I know that sometimes people thought nurses shouldn't be in politics, nurses shouldn't be in government, but you go where the work takes you. And as long as you believe there is something you can do to make it better, then follow that path. And I hope in all of this that nursing in every echelon continues to be a voice for those who have no voice.
So my inspiration and hope is that nurses, individually and collectively, will seize this crisis opportunity and build on the opportunities presented from the pandemic. It will take uncommon collaborations beyond traditional healthcare players and daring creativity and innovation to co-design our communities with our patients, families, caregivers, and members of the interprofessional team, so that we actually make a lasting impact and service to the public health worldwide to make the world a better place for generations to come.
My hope is that increasingly the power of the profession really capitalizes on the public's trust as the precious currency that trust is. The public's trust is a key underpinning that can further support the good and important work of the nursing profession. In terms of the pandemic, across individual nurses and all nursing organizations, we need to intensely, publicly, and repeatedly communicate to the highest levels of government that no nurse or anyone else should be at risk because of a lack of personal protective equipment or a lack of testing or a lack of tracing. The worst side of this pandemic isn't just showing itself to be a brutally hard disease to manage. The worst side of this pandemic is also showing us the destructive disparities that run so deeply across communities of color, the poor, the displaced. This pandemic has exposed long-standing and new, deeply disturbing differentials in morbidity and mortality associated with race, poverty, and geography. So, the profession's work to create better health in the future starts with protecting our ranks, and it starts with establishing expectations that the fundamental work needed to address long-standing health disparities, it begins now.
As we celebrate Nurses Month in 2020 as the year of the nurse and midwife, I'm reminded as nurse leaders, the future of our profession and its impact on the health and well-being of others is squarely centered on how we serve our local and global communities. To all my colleagues, near and far, stay encouraged, continue to seek the truth, lead by example.
Mi esperanza para el año 2020 es que el público verá no solo el corazón de enfermeras, sino también todo lo que implica desarrollar innovaciones y apoyar la salud de las personas, las familias y las comunidades. My hope is that nurses will be included as the expert clinicians and researchers that we are in the array of public policy decisions that are rapidly being made during the pandemic and beyond.
My hope is that we will be able to see things as they are, clearly and honestly. This pandemic has made absolutely clear the central role that nurses play in our healthcare system. Every day we see examples of nursing competence, of tenacity, of their wisdom, their courage, and their compassion as they meet the challenges of this global pandemic.
I hope that some of the disruptive change that we've seen happen because of the pandemic will benefit the profession of nursing in the future. The other hope is that many organizations will take the mental health of their workforce seriously and get past stigma and the fear of talking about it and really start making proactive change to protect the workforce permanently into the future, not just because there's a pandemic, but because we deserve it.
So my hope is the health and well-being of nurses and other clinicians are given top priority. And by doing that, we're going to improve healthcare quality, healthcare safety, switching that paradigm from sick care to well care for everybody.
My hope as we enter this most important decade is that nurses step forward as leaders, designers, integrators of a new system of health and healthcare delivery in integrated communities. This pandemic has taught us so much about what is broken in the system and how our silos are not helping us to create healing, equity, and comprehensive care. Nurses are uniquely trained, experienced to lead this transformation to truly create healing and a culture of health.
My hopes and dreams are that many more Native Americans will pursue nursing education so that they can bring healing and well-being to our community.
I am very hopeful about the future. I believe COVID is giving us a choice. We can continue on our current path as a species and break down, possibly even become extinct, or we can decide to break through and evolve. COVID is showing us that we have injustices and disparities in our current path. I believe we will choose a new path.
My hope for the future is that as individuals and as a profession, we listen more deeply. We are more intentional in our understanding. We have the courage to thoughtfully challenge systems and structures to create a more equitable future. My hope is that we use the power of our presence to show compassion and lead with purpose.